Yes, Mr. Honor.
Okay, good. Right. So, as you can see, today we're going to look at life cycle costing. We're going to change the gear. We're going to change the gears a bit. So, um, last week we were looking at target costing, and I hope you understood target costing. I did not only take you through target costing, but I gave you an assignment, which was a practical-based assignment on target costing, and I think you had a good time in answering that assignment question. Of course, some of you went to meet individual businessmen and then collected data and, of course, calculated the target cost of the business and, of course, the cost gap. And, of course, you went ahead and explained or advised the business as to what to do, as to what to do to eliminate the cost gap. I thought it was a good one. So I have a feeling that you had a very good understanding of target costing. Is that the case? Is that the case?
Yeah, it have really improved our understanding.
Okay, good. Okay, very good. So, because we've spent so much time on target costing, we will just go through.
It does really improve our understanding. You know, sometimes the practical is also good as it shows you how things happen.
Okay, excellent. Yes, you're right. In fact, that's the most important thing, because everything that we are learning here, we are supposed to put it into practice one day or the other. Accountants are definitely different from historians or political scientists or whatever. Whatever we learn is live, is dynamic. It can be applied, to real business scenarios. So that's the advantage we have over a lot of professions, So, right. So what we're going to look at, of course, like I said, we're not going to spend time on recap of target costing. Each and every one of you is an expert in target costing by now. So we're going to go straight to life cycle costing. And before we go to life cycle costing, we'll start, of course, with this little animal called mosquito, which is a problem for us, especially in this part of the world. So we'll look at its life cycle just briefly, since we are talking about life cycle. So we look at the life cycle of a mosquito. Then, as usual, we will start with a short video on life cycle costing before we proceed. Then we will look at some definitions. We'll look at stages of life cycle costing, of course, based on the stages of the product life cycle, because whatever life cycle costing we are talking about is going to be based on a product or a service. Okay, so we need to look at the stages in a product's life cycle. Okay, so we will look at the effects on the business for each of those stages. The effect on business cost, the effects on business production and sales at each stage of the product lifecycle. We're going to look at it. The elements of products lifecycle cost, we're going to look at as well. The benefits, the challenges, and at the end of the lectures, I'm going to give you an interesting group assignment, which should be submitted in about 2 weeks, so that you don't have to complain about anything. And of course, it's going to be part of your continuous assessment, okay? And then we will do an exam type question on target costing called CAMS Company. Okay, so this is what is ahead of us. I think we should just keep the ball rolling so that we can be able to finish around 5 o'clock, because to be honest, we've not been fair to the guys who have class at 5 o'clock, you know, but I think they'll forgive us, yeah? But we'll try to, you know, finish by 5 as much as possible, even if we cannot, not going to be more than 5-10 minutes like that, okay? So we're good to go? So you know about the life cycle of a mosquito. Some of us have studied, you know, general science or biology at some stage in our lives, isn't it? If not general science or biology, but at least in your primary school, you will have done some science, isn't it? Is that the case, everyone? Is that the case?
Yes.
Okay. And in most of the general science studies, we usually learn about mosquitoes because mosquitoes are a problem. Okay, we all know, of course, mosquitoes are a single animal that causes malaria. And of course, malaria is a killer disease. Okay, and it is very, 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 very common, especially in the Gambia. And we approaching the season, which is the rainy season. You know, it's usually highly prevalent in the rainy season. You know, I remember in my days, in my high school days at Armitage, every year I'll catch malaria. Malaria is a problem. It's not just me. In fact, I could say 90% of the students at Armitage in those days will catch malaria, you know, especially during the rainy season. Well, for Georgetown, you know, mosquitoes don't have any season. It's mosquitoes throughout. I hope the Georgetoanians are not going to challenge me. My second home is Georgetown, so I've been there continuously for 5 years, so I think I know the place. Okay, so let's look at the life cycle of a mosquito. Of course, we know this, like I said in our previous studies. The stage we could start from, let's say, an adult one, okay, an adult one. Okay, we know adult mosquitoes, they lay eggs. And where do they usually lay eggs?
Stagnant water.
Yeah, they lay eggs in stagnant water, that's one. And of course, they can lay eggs in filthy places, places that are filthy and are moist or they are damp. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to have water that doesn't move, but you know, if the place is filthy, it's dark and it's moist, mosquitoes can easily lay eggs. Okay, and if they lay eggs, the eggs will mature and then they will form what we call larvae. Okay, the plural is larvae, and the larvae will, you know, develop to form what we call pupa. Okay, and then it's the pupa that will grow into an adult mosquito, and after some time the adult mosquito will die, and the ones that live will lay eggs, new larvae is formed, pupae, and then like that. So this is somehow the life cycle of a mosquito. So it has got about 4 stages. Okay, it has got about 4 stages. Okay, so usually mosquitoes, well, how long do you think they live, mosquitoes, usually, according to science? Can they live for 1 year, for 6 months?
They said 1 week.
Actually, this is just an icebreaker. It's not part of our main subject, but it's just to warm you up. 1 week, okay, yeah, 1 week in some instances, yes. So naturally, according to science, because I made a research on this, the mosquitoes live between 4 days to 1 month. So usually, yeah, so usually they don't grow older than 1 month. So you see how short their lifespan is. Their lifespan is very, very, very short. Okay. But do we want their lifetime to be longer? They're going to kill all of us, isn't it? If their lifespan is longer than that, they will definitely kill us. Mosquitoes are terrible. And you know, for them, it's like they're everywhere. It's just that in Africa, especially in our part of Africa, the ones that cause malaria are prevalent. That's the female Anopheles mosquito, isn't it? The female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, but of course, mosquitoes are everywhere, you know. So, but in most part of the world, we have mosquitoes that don't bite, or even if they bite, they don't cause malaria. Okay, they don't cause malaria. Okay, so that's just about it. We're going to watch this video. We're going to watch this video and then we move on with our slides. Okay, everybody, shall we?
Yes, we are waiting.
Okay. So please let me know if you're not hearing the video loud and clear. Let me know. But otherwise, I'll just continue to play because I have to mute my own presentation. If not, it's gonna re-echo. Okay, so I'm going to mute.
Life cycle costs are, then we're going to discuss how traditional cost accounting system differs from life cycle costing. Then we're going to see a few applications of life cycle costing systems and what are the benefits of using it. And in the end, we're going to discuss 5 basic steps on how to calculate life cycle costs of any project, service, or product. And we're going to look at the real-world example. First, let's review the definition of life cycle costing. Lifecycle costing, or LCC, is a system that tracks and accumulates all costs and revenues attributable to cost object from its invention to its abandonment. So what is the difference between traditional cost accounting and lifecycle cost accounting systems? Traditional cost accounting system reports cost object profitability on a calendar basis, monthly, quarterly, and annually, while lifecycle costing involves tracing costs and revenues on a product or service over several calendar periods or over its total lifespan. So why do companies use lifecycle costing? Lifecycle costing can help the company to evaluate and compare among different alternatives and or to assess economic viability of the projects. Other benefits of lifecycle costing include that by knowing the lifecycle cost of product or service, managers can understand not only the acquisition costs, but operating and support costs that are going to incur by choosing to produce a product or to provide service. Now let's discuss the application of lifecycle costs. Any product, project, or service have 2 cost elements: acquisition costs and operations and maintenance, or also called support costs. Acquisition costs may include initial training costs, logistics costs, And if the product or service is developed internally, some research and development costs. Operations and maintenance or support costs usually include labor, energy, production costs, and ongoing training costs. Now let's review the 5 basic steps how to calculate the life cycle costs. First, we need to determine time for each cost element. For example, if we're going to produce a new product, we need to determine for how long we're going to be producing it. Then we need to estimate value of each cost element. For example, what are going to be the labor costs every year if we choose to produce the product? Then we need to calculate present value of each cost element for every year. Once we know present value at every year for each cost element, we need to add them together, and these are going to be our life cycle costs. In the end, we will analyze the results, and usually companies prefer the option that includes the lowest life cycle costs. Let's review a real-world example. The company is trying to choose a vehicle for its fleet and has 2 options: to purchase a fuel car or electric car. When you look at the purchase price of 2 vehicles, it seems that the fuel car price is significantly lower than electric car price. However, without taking into account their operations and maintenance costs, it's hard to tell which car is going to be a better investment. Let's assume the discount rate is going to be at 10%, inflation rate at 3.5%, and both cars are going to be used for a period of 5 years and then sold. Let's take a look at the life cycle cost of the fuel car. In the first year, we're going to purchase car at $17,000. From year 1 to year 5, we're going to incur fuel costs, maintenance, and insurance costs that are going to be our annual cash flows. In the last year, we're going to sell the car at a salvage value of $8,000. Once we know our yearly cash flows, we can calculate present value at each year. After we calculated present value at each year, we add all present value together and we come out with life cycle costs of fuel car, which is going to be $31,000. Let's compare it to life cycle cost of electric car. Electric car acquisition costs are going to be higher, but the car will incur significantly less fuel costs, less maintenance, insurance costs. We'll also get a tax rebate, and the salvage value of the car is going to be higher. After we calculated life cycle cost of electric car, we noticed that the life cycle cost of it is significantly lower than the ones of the fuel cost car. Thus, all the other factors being equal, the company will prefer investing in electric car rather than fuel car because life cycle costs of electric car are lower.
Okay, so how do you see the video?
Well, the video is very interesting.
Very interesting, yeah? Good. And of course, it has summarized life cycle costing in a way that makes a lot of sense because it has given a practical example of life cycle costing for 2 vehicles, as we have seen. By the way, the salvage value, these are American terminologies. In the UK, is called scrap value or the WDV, the written down value. That's the value that remains when the useful life expires. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so let's discuss the video a bit. Karamo, what's your take on the video? What's your understanding of life cycle costing as per the video? Karamo.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I want to say what I understand about the video is that it's trying to compare lifetime costing, the life cycle costing with normal traditional way of costing like absorption costing, as we know. And what he's trying to do is it's telling us that life cycle costing is maybe at the initial stage more expensive, but if you in the long run it could be cheaper using his examples. It's like a one-time costing method that will last for a longer period compared to other costing methods. Like if you are going to do, for example, badge costing, every badge you'll be doing costing, every badge you'll be doing costing for the badge. But with this one life cycle costing, you can make a cost of something for one time, and it will last for maybe a year or so. So that's what I understand.
Good, good. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so who else can tell us? Let's do 2-3 people, and then we move. Bintu El Bojang. Bintu, did you watch the video? Bintu? Ibrahima Drame. Ibrahima, you are not in last class. Ibrahim, are you with us today? Hello, Ibrahim. Yes, you were not in last class.
Yes, but the environment where I am is very, very noisy. This week I'm right inside the MDI, but these people, common sense students, are disturbing us very well because they
You
are
mean now?
celebrating their victories. So I don't think I'll be able to. Yes, now.
Go away
We are from
somewhere. Go
a
away
commercial
somewhere
election.
and attend class.
So
Go. Not a good excuse. Go somewhere else and attend class, man, Ibrahim.
okay, certainly
Okay, so that
I will
means you cannot be
relocate.
able to
Once
answer
I
our
relocate,
question.
I will give you.
Yeah, relocate, man, relocate. Hadi Gay. Hadi, can you tell us your understanding of the video, please? Is Hadi with us? Mr. Cole, you know Jarankas like afternoon tea, so don't mind me. I'm taking my afternoon tea, yeah?
No problem.
Is Hadi with us? No.
Yes, sir.
Hadi, yes. Tell us a bit about the video before we move.
I wasn't in the last 2 classes, so I didn't think I would understand it.
No, this video. Were you in this class?
Yes, but not long ago.
Hadi, if my memory can serve me well, you are the first to sign in when the
Yes.
class started. So you
was
signed
out-
and you went off. Okay, fine. We'll excuse you this time around. Nyima, you've not been punctual. Did you attend class last time? Nyima Masjo? Your hand is up. Nyima, are you with us? Oh, okay, fine. We need to move. Okay, so actually the video was trying to summarize. The video was trying to summarize the meaning of life cycle costing. Okay, the meaning of life cycle costing, and it gave an example of life cycle costing in 2 scenarios. That's a fuel car and an electrical car. Okay, so what is life cycle costing? Life cycle costing is also another costing technique.
Interrupt.
Yes, Mr.
Sorry for any interruption. Yes, I want to just add to what Karamo have just said now.
Okay, go ahead, Usman. Yes.
The life cycle costing is like to track the cost. That means to track the cost of a particular asset. That means the vehicle or a project like that. You want to start a project. You know, you start it with certain cost, but at the starting of the cost, you must incur most of the cost, like research and development and other things like that, because at that moment this business hasn't started yet. So it has to accumulate those. So that means in any when you started the business, so then you will be able to know how to recover those costs.
Okay.
Before.
Okay. Okay, fine. Usman, you seem to be losing network. Right. So I think let's just go for the sake of time. Okay, that was a good attempt, Usman. That was a good attempt, Usman. Okay, so let me just summarize and then we move on. So we did a couple of costing techniques. Usman, you are breaking. Don't worry, don't worry. Let's move. Okay, so initially we started with the traditional costing techniques, marginal costing, absorption costing. We looked at modern costing techniques, including activity-based costing, target costing, like that. So today we're looking at life cycle costing. Okay, if you look at all the costing techniques that I've mentioned before, the traditional costing techniques, the ABC, and the target costing, they are all periodic costing. For example, it looks at the cost of a product or a service, let's say for a week, for a month, quarterly, semi-annually, or for 1 year. Okay? So that means the profitability of that particular product or service is measured on a periodic basis. Okay? So that means in some periods, the product might be profitable. In other periods, it might not be profitable. Okay? But is lacking something. That particular product may register profitability in some periods, but overall, the product might be a loss-making product. Okay? And again, when you look at these traditional costing techniques, including ABC and target costing, they don't look at costs that happen before the product comes to being. For example, the research and development and all the other costs, the prototype costs and so on, all the other costs that came to being before the product comes to the market. So those are not considered. What is considered is immediately the product comes to the market, whatever cost that is incurred is what is considered. So it does not recognize all other costs that happened before. So that's the trouble with all other costing techniques. But the life cycle costing looks at everything. It looks at the cost of the product and the service before even the product comes to being. So it looks at it before the product comes to being, and of course, up to during the lifetime of the product. Okay? So it's a very, very, very good technique for decision making. You can easily take decision whether you have to initially go and start producing this product or service or not, because you'll have assessed the life cycle cost. And of course, you don't only, it's called life cycle costing, but you don't only look at the cost. You look at both the costs and the benefits. Then you knock them off to arrive at either a net cost or a net benefit. Okay, so it's really, really very, very useful. Okay, so let's just go and look at some definition. Of course, I have already mentioned some of these things, and it was mentioned on the video. So it's a costing technique that tracks and accumulates the actual cost and revenues attributable to each product from inception to abandonment. So from before birth to when the product phases out completely from the market. So it looks at all costs associated with the product for the full life of the product. The life of the product might be 1 year, it might be 10 years, it might even be 50 years, or it might be even longer than that. Okay. So in order to track the cost and the benefits of the product, it has to be done through stages. Okay? It has to be done through stages. Of course, the main stages of any product's life or a service life are 5. Okay? The fourth stage is the development stage. The second stage is the introduction stage, growth, maturity, and then decline. Okay, so this chart you've seen before you is with respect to the sales and the duration. That's the time of the duration of the product. Okay, so that's why you have the sales line here, and then you have the time. So this, how to call it, the graph, as you can see, is the sales line. Okay, so now we'll go through each of these stages. The development stage naturally is the stage when the product or the service is being developed. You know, the product or even the service could be developed before they are in fact launched. You know that? Okay, so the development stage is the stage whereby, you know, they will incur some research and development, they will have to buy some machines, they have to buy patents, they have to buy recipes, you know. It depends on the kind of product you're dealing with. So this stage is very, 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 very important. Very, very important. Okay? And what happens at this stage, look at it. Look at the sales line. Has the sales line started moving? Look at the sales line. Has it started moving?
Yes.
Okay. The sales line, this is the sales line. Has it started moving?
No, it started
No, at development, no.
Not yet, not yet.
That means?
There was no sales.
There cannot be any sales naturally. You know, you will sell a product that is already into the market. So if it is not, if it has not come to the market yet, naturally, there will be no sales. So as you can see on the graph, at the development stage, 0 sales. But then, of course, there will be too much cost that will be incurred, like research and development costs, cost of acquisition of machines for production, cost of prototypes, cost of patents. You know, if you want to produce certain products, you have to pay for certain rights for initial people who have developed that product, something like that. Okay, so you need to pay for it. So all those costs will be incurred at this stage. Okay, so if the product is fully developed, what is the next stage? The next stage is what?
Introduction.
Introduction. Okay, introduction, or it could also be called launching. So this is the time you will launch the product into the market. Okay, production stage or development stage. Then it will be launched, it will be introduced to the market. Okay, so at this stage also, look at the sales line. Did it just start from here? But look at it, it started almost, how to call it, quarter way. Okay, so it did not start immediately. Because if you introduce a product into the market, sales do not usually start to peak like that. Okay, but this is different from some other products. You know, this is a general concept, but there are some products that if you introduce them to the market, boom, the sales will grow. Can you give me one example? Can you give me one example? What I mean is, naturally, if you introduce a new product into the market, sales will not just start picking. It will take some time because clients or customers have to get used to the product. The product needs to be tested to ensure that it satisfies a particular end. You understand? So all that is there. But there are some products that immediately you introduce them to the market, the sales will start booming. What are examples of some of those products?
We can say electronic devices like iPhones, iPods, and so on.
Exactly. Very good. Electronic devices, especially phones, especially mobile phones. Okay? And the most, important example is the iPhone. The iPhone. Usually they introduce new ones in September. So some people have already started budgeting for the new version. I don't know whether they will call it iPhone 13 or whatever they're going to call it, okay? Because the latest one is 12, okay? So some people have started budgeting to buy their iPhone 13 or whatever name they are going to call it, okay? So in the West, for example, if you are in the US or UK and other Western countries, if they say iPhone is going to be launched, let's say on the 12th of September, by midnight, 12th of September, people will be ready to start shopping online. That's those who want to shop online. So the ones who will want to visit stores will right be there early morning, and you will see long queues. You know, technology, of course, is ruling the world. So because everybody wants to be kind of up there in terms of technology. So in an instance, for products like, you know, electronic devices, at introduction, sales will definitely start, you know, shooting up. Okay, they'll start shooting up. But generally, in most products, sales will definitely be lower at its introduction stage. Okay, so introduction stage also, there will be huge cost. Okay, what are some of the most significant costs that's going to be incurred at the introduction stage, assuming it's a completely new product?
Advertisement.
And development.
Huh?
Research and development.
Hey, the program has been introduced already, research and development. Mr. Dan.
Advertisement.
I'm in development stage.
No. We are at introduction stage. We've passed development stage.
Advertisement.
Okay.
You're not with us, Mr. Dan, are you?
What of advertisement?
Ibu Sise, okay, advertisement, okay, put it into perspective. Advertisement is just a small component of something. Look at the bigger picture. How do you call it?
Marketing.
Advertisement is a subset of something. So advertisement is just one thing.
Marketing.
Huh?
Marketing.
Well, promotions, marketing and promotions, okay? Okay. You know, to promote, there are lots of different things that you could do. You could promote using billboards. You could promote using advertisements. You could promote using advertorials. You know, you could promote using, you know, lots of different techniques. Okay. So introduction stage, promotion costs also. Okay. So the next stage, which is the third stage, it will be growth. Okay, growth stage. Growth stage. Growth stage, look at what's happening to the sales line. The sales line is going up because this is the stage whereby the product is becoming well known in the market. People have tested it and it is satisfying their end, so sales will grow. People will start rushing for it. Okay, that's assuming that it's a good product. Okay, so at this stage, sales will of course grow and profitability will also grow, ceteris paribus. Yeah, assuming all things are equal, sales will go up, and of course, profitability will also start rising. Okay, until at the fourth stage, maturity stage. Maturity stage is usually when the product will start saturating the market. People have got enough of it, and you know, naturally sales will stagnate. It won't go up anymore, as you can see on the curve. Okay, it's kind of stagnating here. Okay, and then the last stage, naturally people are just fed up. The product is old and it's time to die, so they will just the product will start declining, okay? Meaning, of course, the sales is declined. So if the sales is declined, if the sales has declined, naturally the product is going to die, a natural death. Okay, so this is the way we look at the product life cycle. Okay, so let's look at them briefly. Okay, we've already explained most of them. So as you can see, the development stage, introduction stage, of course, Like I said, development stage, this is where we'll incur huge costs on R&D, that's on research and development, on design cost, on production. Of course, at this stage, there will be no sales at all, no sales, because the product hasn't come to the market, at all. And of course, there will be high cost. Very high cost in terms of R&D, design, production, purchase of machinery and everything, but then no sales. Very risky. And some products, they stop at this stage. They don't go. The idea is conceived, they spend some money, and it doesn't move because it's not worthwhile. It's either it's not technically feasible or financially it's not feasible. Okay, so it will stop at this stage. So that's why we say business people, they have to take a lot of risk. Okay, so you take a risk, you start conceiving an idea, you spend some money on the side, you bought some machinery, but it could not proceed. So introduction, of course, like I said, this is the launching. Sales can go up in some products, but mostly sales will be down. Growth, of course, this is our adulthood, where, as human beings, this is the time where we go to university, start getting married, and stuff like that. Okay, so the same thing, this is a very, very good period for the product's life. Sales will go up, you'll see it rising, profits will go up, and of course, the cost will start, getting lower and lower. So stage is a very nice stage. This is adulthood. When you have already married, you've got your very good job. Okay, you've already got very good job, and you've got your promotions, and stuff like that. But then at this stage, you can't go beyond this stage. So the next stage is a stage that nobody likes. That's adulthood. Okay, adulthood, when you start declining, your productivity becomes low. Okay, in the case of the product, the taste, people will get fed up with the taste. And of course, the sales demand will start falling, and so on and so forth. And suddenly the product will go off the market. Okay. Okay. Is it clear, everybody?
Yes, it's clear, sir.
It's clear. Excellent. Good. Any questions, please, or any observations?